次はないから。
え？
戻ってきたらこき使わせてもらうわよ。覚悟しときなさい。
For many people, and for me too, the relationship, and perhaps the union, between Sanji and Nami is almost a reality. After all, they both have unique moments that give us the impression that even if Oda doesn't develop this couple, they would still be a perfect couple. However, there are people who say that Sanji and Nami cannot be a couple for some very interesting reasons that end up going unnoticed by us who like the relationship they both have so much. So, Sanji and Nami don't make any sense when thought of as a couple? Aren't Sanji and Nami perfect for each other? Stay with me, we'll talk about this now. And well, my dear pirates, I truly believe that besides Usopp and Kaya, Nami and Sanji are the closest thing to a couple that we have in One Piece, of course, when we talk about the new generation of pirates. I think Nami and Sanji are much better suited than Luffy and Hancock, and I also like the idea that Luffy and Empress of Amazon Lily get married at the end of One Piece. However, there are arguments that could contradict our desire to see Nami and Sanji getting married and having children in the future. But before we talk about these arguments, first I want to make my point of view clear as to why I believe that Nami and Sanji make a beautiful couple. Before starting, I have to remember that Oda has already said several times that he does not intend to develop any love relationship within the One Piece manga, and that we have to take into account, after all, it is the word of the creator of the work. However, it is one thing for Oda to say that there will be no development of relationships, it is quite another for him to say that couples will not form at the end of One Piece. I could talk about several other shounen manga mangakas who also said that they wouldn't have romantic relationships or couple development because their work was mainly focused on young boys, but in the end, everyone ended up having to adhere to some kind of romance or even being forced to form some couples due to the great feminine appeal that his works reached. According to Oda, boys prefer more fights and adventures while girls prefer romantic relationships, although this is not an absolute rule. But like I said, even though Oda doesn't want to develop any relationship, nothing prevents him from creating couples for the end of One Piece, or else that Shonen Jump and Shueisha managers force him to do that, because something I learned years ago consuming manga and anime is that after the work becomes mainstream it no longer belongs to its author, that is, he does not 100% control everything that is happening within its history. Akira Toriyama, Kishimoto, and even the legendary mangaka of stories of the seinen genre, Kentaro Miura, creator of Berserk, rest in peace, had to make alterations in their works at the behest of people who were behind the curtains, that is, of the people who were paying for their works to be published. So even if Oda doesn't want to develop couples, don't be surprised if couples are formed at the end of One Piece, because this is completely normal even within shounen manga, and Oda may not have complete control over it. But as I said in those videos, I still prefer to believe that Oda will do that. First, because if even the Pirate King Gul D. Roger had a wife and children, why wouldn't Luffy have it? If the past generation had children, which are the current generation, why won't the current generation make way for a new generation? That really doesn't make sense. And there's more. I believe that Oda, even saying he doesn't want to do that, himself is already doing that. He himself is already developing relationships even if it's unconsciously, and Sanji and Nami are the greatest example for that. There are several moments between the two characters, and I'm not just talking about moments of appealing fan service. No, there are moments where Sanji and Nami clearly demonstrate that both are interconnected beyond just friendship and companionship. The scene where Sanji finally returns to the Straw Hat Pirates in the Whole Cake arc is one that most expresses this bond between Sanji and Nami. In fact, if we stop to think about it, in Whole Cake Island there were several scenes that brightened the lives of those who really believe in the relationship between Sanji and Nami, and, personally, I confess that from that arc I noticed a chemistry between the two that I had never seen before, because I was also skeptical about love relationships in One Piece. In other words, my dear pirate, if Oda really didn't want to introduce relationships into One Piece for whatever reason, well, it looks like he's slowly changing his mind. And I believe this may have something to do with Oda's own life. Recently, in 2020, The Color Walk 9 was released in Japan, which is a book with a collection of illustrations from the One Piece manga. Along with the artwork, each issue features an unprecedented interview with One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda, who has always been extremely dedicated to the work. In an excerpt, Oda reveals that he didn't want to know about dating and relationships when he started writing One Piece, all this to keep full focus on his work. However, even with all the work he had with One Piece, even with the work gaining notoriety allowing Oda to have assistants to help him with the manga, whether designing backgrounds or even putting the effects of fights after Oda finished drawing the characters, it turns out that Oda ended up getting married and consequently had a daughter. I'm not saying that this made Oda change his opinion about having or not having relationships within One Piece, but it is interesting to know that in the beginning he didn't care so much about girlfriends as well as the characters within his work, but over time this has been changing, just like in your life. So it seems that yes, Oda is even unintentionally introducing couples in One Piece. He may not fully develop them, but he is clearly leaving clues within his work, especially when the subject involves Sanji and Nami. Unlike all relationships within the Straw Hat crew, and even among other crews and characters, it is with Sanji and Nami that I realize that Oda is, even unintentionally, developing some sort of relationship. That's why I believe Luffy and Nami won't get together at the end of One Piece and why I believe Sanji and Nami will be a couple. However, here are the arguments against it, and the first argument is Luffy himself. It's not just Oda-sensei's habit of emphasizing Nami as queen all the time that makes her the perfect character to be on the side of the future Pirate King. We also have the fact that Oda simply makes all the women in One Piece look like Nami simply due to the fact that his real-life wife played Nami in a play in the past and Oda has fallen in love with her ever since. It's as if Oda was Luffy and his wife was literally Nami. I talk more about this in the video, revealed why everyone wants to be with Nami. I'll leave it on the pin card for you to watch later, okay? But the argument I see being used the most is the fact that Sanji acts like a complete idiot when he sees a beautiful woman.
Sanji-san,
近づかない。
ルフ太郎さんのお仲間の方たちですか？そのボール私たちにかも。
ってそれまさに絵にも描けない美しさ。
Seriously guys, this happens so often that it ends up becoming sickening when he should act like a gentleman and respect the woman he supposedly loves. Let's imagine ourselves inside Nami's head. Let's try to see all these situations from her point of view. It's frustrating to see the person who says they feel something special about you constantly flirting with other girls. Not even crew members escape Sanji's malicious pickup lines. As you are going to date and in the future marry a person who constantly comes across a beautiful woman, that person forgets about you and runs away to try something with a different woman. Can you imagine how problematic and humiliating this would be for Nami? I can actually understand these arguments. But I want to know your opinion about everything we commented here today. But of course, if you made it this far it's because you like the content, so it doesn't hurt to subscribe to our channel and become one more member of our fleet, my dear pirate. And of course, do not forget to press the like button, that helps a lot in spreading the video and the channel. So help us to become the largest fleet of pirates here on YouTube, okay? A big hug for everyone. And until the next video.